Yeah, I'm going to call the committee to order at this time. We'll ask all the members if they can come in and take their seats for this hearing. And let me begin by pointing out that Ukraine is facing not one crisis, but a number of them. Its new government is confronting an economic and financial crisis brought on by years of mismanagement, years of corruption by previous government officials. And it is doing this while under military invasion and economic coercion by neighboring Russia. The world has been speaking up, sending a clear message, and that message is that Moscow's actions over the past week are out of bounds. The new government in Kiev cannot succeed without strong and rapid support by the international community. Working in close cooperation with our European allies, the U.S. is crafting an immediate assistance package. But this help must be accompanied by fundamental economic reforms if Ukraine is to stabilize its economy. Only Ukraine can help us help them. I'll also mention that later this month, prior to the elections in Ukraine, I will be leading a CODEL to the country because we must also help to ensure that the elections scheduled for May will be fair, will be free, and reflect the true voice of the Ukrainian people in all regions of the country, a country that is becoming increasingly divided. And I think our oversight and engagement there right now is very important. A successful election is essential to Ukraine's ability to resolve the many issues it's got on its plate and to advance toward democracy and security and long-term toward prosperity. Addressing Ukraine's energy security must be part of our response. Russia has repeatedly used its supply of natural gas to pressure Ukraine economically and politically, and has announced that it will significantly increase its cost in a deliberate effort to squeeze Ukraine. Fortunately, we have an option to help counter this threat, namely reducing the current impediments to exports of American gas to the Ukraine. The administration has it within its power to do this by removing the current bureaucratic obstacles that only empower Putin. They should do so rapidly. This committee is working to provide appropriate assistance to all Ukrainian people, but also to pressure Russia to withdraw its forces and cease its efforts to destabilize Ukraine. As part of that effort, immediately following this hearing, we will mark up a resolution that the ranking member and I have introduced that condemns Russia's aggression and outlines these steps. I strongly encourage the administration to increase efforts to isolate Russia diplomatically. There is much that should be done, such as introducing a resolution at the UN Security Council that condemns Russian aggression, isolating Moscow. The rest of the international community will support such a resolution. Moscow alone will veto it, but it will increase the pressure. The Treasury Department should also make clear that the U.S. is on the lookout for Russian banks that are involved in illicit activities, such as the transfer of stolen Ukrainian assets, especially those banks that are primarily owned by the government or by the oligarchs. We also, in our resolution, lay out other steps that should be taken, such as the limitation on travel. Many of us have been calling for action, and last evening the administration called me to indicate that it was going to take steps on precisely these issues, the visa and asset bans here, and so we will look forward to that statement from the administration, I think further elaborating the executive order announced early this morning. But we must remember that the purpose of our pressure on Russia is not simply to punish aggression, and certainly it is not to escalate the confrontation, but instead to move Putin toward a resolution that protects the territorial integrity of Ukraine. That is our ambition here. And as we look forward, we have with us today 3 administration witnesses to answer questions from members regarding the current situation in Ukraine and the administration's ongoing efforts to provide assistance to Kiev and to pressure Russia.